Hey, this is Sean. This is hopefully the last video that I do on analyzing the 2020 Pennsylvania presidential data from New York Times in Firefox and or Power BI. This is the fun part where you actually get to make the visualizations. I'm probably going to stumble quite a bit, but I'm sorry. I don't have a second monitor here where I have a script to read off of, so I'm just going off the fly. Some things that you would not need to know about are, if you didn't sit through the long last video, you can go get the that really helped. If you didn't sit through the long last video, you can go and get the Power BI project from this location, and that will be in the comments section. And also another thing that you might want to check out is this link here, which will also be in the comments section, from some lady called by the name of KL Divergence, which explains some rounding anomalies that you may see when you're processing this data. It has to do with how the New York Times set the data up. I don't necessarily agree with how they did that. I think I alluded to some of that in the last video, but I had not yet ran into KL Divergence at that point, or her post, so I couldn't mention her at that time. But it's very important that you take a look at this. Now, my particular beliefs may differ from her political beliefs, but it's useful to understand her perspective on why the rounding error is occurring. She explains it quite well. So go ahead and check that out before you go make some broad, assumptions about votes being deleted or that kind of thing. Now, here's the data open in Firefox. So let's go ahead and open Power BI. I think my brain's starting to melt right now because I'm older, and it's getting dark outside, and so I think I'm starting to think about sleep. So, all right, we open up Power BI. We do not want to sign in, or I don't. You might want to, but I don't want to, because I don't want this information on my company, any networks of any employers I might have. So I'm going to close that, and then I'm going to go to File, and then Browse Reports. Now here it happens to be in my recent reports section, but you would maybe have to go to Browse Reports, and then you would navigate to the folder you put it in. In my case, I stuffed this in a Git repository. It was in the links, and I'll click on that and click on Open. And it'll take a little bit of time. And then the first thing that we want to do, this is the easiest visualization to do, is to click on Line Chart. I hope I don't stumble again. And then expand that, and then we're going to do timestamp. We're going to drag that on the axis because we want to see a series of the votes for an axis. Now, by default, it's wanting to do it as a time hierarchy, and we're not going to want that. But we're going to go ahead and look at the total vote Biden shares and the total. We're going to look at the total Biden shares and the total. Good grief. Total Trump votes. Here we go. Expand visualizations, values, Trump votes, and then Biden votes. And then we're going to change this to a timestamp. That way it'll show it in a... Right. So there are a couple of interesting things here going on. There's like some drop right here, and then there's a spike over here. Later on, you're probably going to find out that those are inconsequential. But if we wanted to take a closer look at those, we'd go to Filters on Timestamp, and then we change this to to be before November 8. So we'd go to Advanced Filtering, and then we'd say Honor Before, and we go 11 8 2020. And then we might change this to like 11:59 p.m. so we don't get confused between midnight and AM and PM and that kind of thing. And we'll click on apply filter, and then it gives us a closer view, and we can even change that to November 5th to get a closer view there. Apply filter, and you can see that at that sampling interval, I don't know what time it was, but they didn't collect any drop votes for anyone. So why don't we go ahead and do this? We're going to add another visualization, a table visualization right next to this. And we're going to go to fields, and actually we should apply this that filter to the page. But we're going to go to fields, we're going to add timestamp, and then we're going to go Biden votes, Trump votes, and then we're going to find out what time precisely that occurred at. And we don't want summarize. This is nonsense. So, and that needs to be sorted. This needs to be changed to the same thing, a timestamp. We need to sort ascending, right? That's good. We need to change that Biden votes. We do not want to summarize. Don't summarize. And down here for Trump votes, don't summarize. Okay. And then if we scroll all the way down to the end, what we should have, I don't like how that did that. That's not helpful. That is really irritating. Good grief. That's not user-friendly, Microsoft. So it's hiding. Now it's hiding our visualizations. Oh, well, it cleared itself up. That's weird. We can actually go to, that's all we need at this point. But we do need to go into filters. Actually, before we do, let's go to timestamp. And up here, the format, why don't we make that something a little easier to read? Here are our options. We need a date and a time. We definitely need a time at the end, and I'm not seeing what I'm looking for. It's in here somewhere. This one looks pretty good. We don't want the seconds. It's very, very, very frustrating. What's this? No. I'm not seeing what I'm looking for. It's in here somewhere. 55, 130. What was that? Yeah, this one looks pretty good. And so it makes it a little cleaner to read. It takes up less space. When you're working with Power BI, space is going to be at a premium, or it can be, particularly if you start getting into dashboards. So what we were trying to do with this is we were trying to find, now we need to go back to the filters, and we need to change this timestamp filter. It's all for this visualization. We need to clear the timestamp filter on this one. Now we're going to change this. We're going to click down here and we're going to change it for a filter for the page, but this time we have to drag it onto there. So we're going to drag the timestamp filter onto the page. Then we're going to say advanced filtering, and we're going to do the exact same thing we did before. We're going to filter is on or before, and then we're going to change that to November 8th. I think it was November 5th, wasn't what we were last working at? November, good grief, 8, 2020, and then we're going to change that to 11. Yeah, I'm sorry I'm repeating myself here. 59, change that to PM, apply filter. That should have applied it for on or before. That should have applied it for the entire page. Filters on this page, advanced filtering, timestamp. I don't see how it's being applied to the entire page. On or before 12/8. I had this working at one time. Basic filtering. I think it worked here on this visualization, but it didn't work on this visualization, which is really bizarre. Page, on or before, show items on or before to 11:59. I don't have any idea why that's very irritating. That's supposed to work, but we'll go ahead and go back to page level filters. Advanced filtering, on or before. They should be linked. November 11/08/2020, and then 11:59 p.m. Apply filter. Now you can see that, and then go back to 6. Very frustrating. 5, 6. Apply. Change that to 5 or 4. There we go. And then we need to do the same thing, 11/4/2020. These should have linked up, but they didn't. I have no idea why. Now, we want to find the exact time when that happened. So we'll click here, and then on the right it shows us the time that happened. At the time of 11/4/2020 at 3:25 a.m. And I don't know whether this is Arkansas Central Time or whether it's Pennsylvania time, but around there, somehow the machines just lost all votes. I mean, they didn't lose it, but it's not a big deal because it's the same before and after. Now, what happened in here? I don't know. We don't really want to go there. I mean, it's possible that a ton of votes may have came in from Trump and they got tossed out, but you know, it's unlikely. So we're just gonna assume for now that this was just a glitch and that everything here is fine. So now we're gonna go ahead and clear this filter. Well, we don't want to clear it. We're just going to put it, instead of clearing it, because I don't want to type all this junk back in again, we're going to put it in a really long time in the future, 11:30 and 11:04. Let's see, on this one, 11:04, we're going to go back to that, 11:04. Now we're going to click on this visualization and change it back to 11:30. And we're going to go back to 11:04 at 3, what was it? 11:04 at 3:25. Better make a note of that. It's kind of frustrating that it's filtering it down to that exact amount. I want to actually see what's before and after. So we're going to go back here. We're going to change this to 11:30. That's good. That's good. Let's go back to that notepad. 11:04/325. 4/325. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Come on. That is so frustrating, this junk. 3:25 a.m. See, yeah, this didn't happen at a.m. So this, I don't know. We might have to. There's probably some time zone things going on, but see, it just dropped it for both candidates, and then it came back with reasonable values at the next sampling interval. So this period of about 2 hours, there was a period of 2 hours where votes were just trashed, and we don't know what those votes. We don't know what those votes were for. Hopefully that these end counts here are just, hopefully what happened is they just weren't able to process any votes, and then what they did is back 2 hours later they were able to resume processing of votes. Now I wished I could tell you at what UTC time this happened, but I can't because I didn't actually I didn't actually create a duplicate of this field. What would you, I think what I was trying to, if you wanted to do that, you'd go back into transform data. You could do that from here, and then you can go add a copy of that field. And I wished I could show that to you right now, but when I try to do that, it complains about my JSON data being file being missing, and I tried replacing it on a previous recording attempt, and it still didn't see that. So instead of going back and instead of going through the hassle of recreating that, I'm just going to let you know that you can go in here and you can actually go add fields back in on the fly. We could make a duplicate of this, and then at that point we could make one Zulu and one the local time. But I'm not going to get into that right now. And it would be a good exercise to do, but unfortunately, I'm not going there at this time. So we're going to go ahead and clear this date. It says 11:30. I don't know why. Why is this? What is going on here? Is before November 30, 2020. Why is that not showing the entire? That's bizarre too. Just retarded. Clear. Is that a page level filter? Maybe it's a page level filter. Why on earth? And we're going to clear this. Any filters on, we'll clear that filter as well. Then here, there it goes. That's so freaky. Man, there's another potential anomaly right here. 11/24/2020, I guess is what it is. So November 22nd. We'll go ahead and change that. Let's see if we can do the page filter now. Page filters, advanced filtering, and then we're going to put timestamp in here. Yeah, oh, it's already there. Advanced filtering is, oh my goodness. Did you really have to do that to me? Is on or after, and then we're going to say November 22nd. 11/22/2020, and we're going to do 12:01 a.m. and then apply. And voila, very bizarre. The page level filtering worked. Didn't work for me earlier, but it's working now. So I only have to change it in one place. This is a page level filter. Before, what I was using was not page level filters, but report visualization specific filters. Here's that. Let's try November 24th. And you can actually add a slicer there, a slicer control or a slicer visualization. Helen Wall can explain that to you in one of her training classes. And that would be very useful to get some. It's easier to change the slicer on the fly by dragging the controls than it is to enter this information in the timestamp. But you don't have to go and add the slicer. If you just want basic functionality, you can rely on your users to use the filters section, which will work just fine too. It works just like a slicer. It's just not quite as user-friendly or as quick. So here we got a jump of, I don't know, for Biden of 346 or 3,460,000 to 49, maybe about 30. Is that 30,000 votes? I don't know. I think. I guess it's a jump of about 30,000 votes. I don't know. Please forgive me if I'm wrong. But it's taken back down here. So the only thing that could have really done is had a psychological impact on people, maybe. And psychological impacts during an election can be very significant, but it was only for a brief period of time. If we look at this, this was started at 546 right here, and you can click on these individual things. Isn't that cool? You can hold down the control key and click on these sampling intervals. Now what? Okay, I don't want that one. Well, that's not really getting me what I want. But you can see the times at which this happened. This particular spike took place between 546 and 621. Again, I'm not sure what time zone that is in, and it would be helpful if I had gotten that information. But it was a period of less than an hour. Enough to possibly influence people's psyche, but we don't know. I mean, was this in Pennsylvania time? Was this during prime time when people were watching and people were like, oh my goodness, Biden's going to win? But we can't really use that as an argument because if we clear this filter again, I thought this was a page level filter. What on earth is this stupid thing doing? I have to click on apparently I have to click on the report to get it to refresh. As we can see, Biden was, according to the New York Times data, which I don't entirely trust because I don't trust the integrity of mail-in ballots. I trust New York Times, but I don't trust the integrity of mail-in ballots. So according to the New York Times data, Biden was started winning, I guess, somewhere around November 6th, and he stayed that way the whole time. But that's a graph of my projections of the total votes. This is where there's some rounding error. And you're going to see that in this next visualization. As I take and pull this off, we're going to go back to this visualization. And we're going to change the values from Trump votes to Trump current and Biden current. And this is where it gets really weird. You're going to see some wacky stuff going on here. And it's because of rounding error. That's what it is. You see that? Both Biden and Trump swung way down back there. And again, we're going to use a filter. And we actually need that on this. We actually need to see that over here in the table as well. If I could. That is so annoying. We're gonna put Trump current and Biden current. I'm sorry for rambling. It's just, I'm tired. I should have done this earlier in the day when my brain was still working. Yeah, that's what we need right there. Get rid of that, and it gives us a little bit more space. Screen space is very important in Power BI. And I need to drag this and make it bigger, but it's not letting me. And these shouldn't be summarized. That's garbage data down there. That's those summarizations. We actually need to go back to the visualization. We need to go do not summarize. Don't summarize. Well, actually, the summarizations are correct here. They're like the total votes. So we can leave that. A lot of times when Power BI does a summarization, you don't want it. Look at all the cool summarizations you can do. You can do average, minimum, count. Hey, I'm back again. My computer crashed. In the previous video, I actually did a few Easter eggs too when the computer crashed, but I don't know if I'm going to feel like doing that this time. I'm tired, I'm cranky, and my kids ran off. I think my kids ran off with my Grumpy Bear Care Bear. Yeah, I know. Grumpy Bear is my favorite Care Bear. And they've got it right now, and I don't know where it is, so You know, if I'm a Grumpy Bear, I have no way to show you Mr. Grumpy Bear. And I don't want to put a Care Bears GIF on this video because I could get possibly sued by whoever does the Care Bears these days for copyright infringement. So, anyway, where we were leaving off is under Trump current. There was we were looking at summarizations. The different we normally a lot of times when Power BI does a summarization in these in this table visualization, the summarizations have completely meaningless data. In this particular case, however, the summarizations are great because it created a summarization which wound up being pretty close to the total votes. Now, this is not accurate because of the rounding error of the New York Times data, which we'll get into later, but in this case, it was actually useful, and you can change that. You can change that to sum, average, minimum, maximum, count, standard deviation, mean. I wonder what the average summarization is. What if I try average here? Would it do it for all these columns? I don't know. I hope not. Yeah, I don't think it did. Oh, well, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I don't know, but that end value is a lot of times hokey. So you can play with that if you want. I don't know. Yeah, I think this is the actual votes at that time. 41 at 746. Let's go change this back to sum. I think it was on sum. 746 was 41. Yeah. So basically it computed the average of the votes. So let's go change this to average. Let's go change Biden to average. And the average votes for Biden were a little bit more per sampling interval. Just slightly higher according to this study. So, but what about standard deviation? That's a cool thing to know. Okay, that looks like totally whacked. What on earth? I don't know how to make any sense of that. And even if I did try to make sense of it, I'd probably be giving you a wrong answer. But what these zeros seem to imply to me is that it's not finding anything statistically anomalous. I would have thought that it would have thought those spikes were kind of weird. Should have picked up those spikes. So this is bogus. You should play around with these because they will be of use to you at some point in your career, or I'm assuming you're watching this for career purposes. And you know, honestly, if you want a quicker path to victory, you can look at the stuff by Helen Wall and Chris Dutton out on LinkedIn Learning, but this stuff is free and it's relevant more specifically to the presidential data, and you get a data set that you can play with and make your own observations with that you might be interested in at this time. And you know, Chris Dutton and Helen Wall may actually incorporate this data set into their training at some point. So that may be something to look forward to. I'm just a seriously bored dude that's tired and cranky and has lost his grumpy bear, and I decided to do this. And I would love to put some Easter eggs into here, but I just don't feel like it this weekend, and I go back to my day job Monday. So, all right, well, we're going to change this back. We're going to go ahead and leave that with the summarization now. There, normally I would remove them, but in this particular case, it seems to make sense. Now, what we're doing here is we're doing the votes, yeah, Trump current, Biden current, and we want to change that visualization over here to use Trump current and Biden current, which it is, and that's where the negative votes came in. But we need to go back to the page level filter, and we need to go investigate what, well, not really investigate, because seriously, I mean, this stuff is really tricky. Is on or before, and we're going to go back to November 7th again. Whoops. And also, you know, my machine's like crashing on me, so, you know, I mean, limited, maybe it's a, well, a sign. The sign from the Lord above. I hope not. Oh man, apply filter. Yeah, look at that weird wacko swing. November 5th. Let's change that to 5th. And see how the page level filter's working this time where it wasn't before. November 5th, November 4th. And if you used a slicer, this would be way easier, but I don't want to get into a slicer right now. I'll let Helen Wall explain that to you, because slicers are a little bit weird. They don't always work the way you would think they would. This one looks kind of weird. There's a huge swing for Biden right there. But is it that much of a swing? It's a 5. Biden current. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's a huge swing for... What on earth? 8 o'clock. November... What time is this? This is November 3rd. On November 3rd, right? But that says Biden. I don't know. My brain's losing it. Yeah, Biden was 5-1 at that time on November 3rd at 7:03 p.m. of who knows what time zone that is. Biden got a very large number of votes. 40, 50, they got like 40,000 more than Trump did. At around 7 p.m. on November 3rd or something like that. That looks a little strange, to be honest. Not sure what that's about. Of course, there is some rounding error, but the rounding error comes more into play at the end when the total number of votes is larger. So it's funny that you would see that there. That's slightly concerning, potentially. Here's another swing for Biden. But here's a swing for Trump. So, my goodness. Yeah, see, now you see how Biden's got negative votes. That's due to rounding error. And the same thing happens to Trump. But Trump got 130,000? What on earth? Biden votes, Trump votes, Trump current, Biden current. This is what it does here is it compares the... If you looked at the last video to do this, what I did was compare the previous value to the current value to get a difference so I could get for that sampling interval. If New York Times had just given us the straight up votes for a person at that specific time, we wouldn't have this problem. Trying to elaborate on this a little bit more. If we good grief. This is really one of the irritating parts about Power BI. If we go over here to fields, this is the real this is part of what's going on here, this shares thing. Shares, Biden shares, and is that, I don't remember her name. What does she go by? KL Divergence was explaining. If you look at where these things are happening, these weird swings, like let's just take this one for example, if I can get over there. This is one of the worst. Let's start selecting some of these rows. And I actually need total votes to wherever that showed up. This is one of the frustrating parts of this. Okay, total votes, great. So now we're going to try to narrow to this. And one way to do that, I don't know, wait a minute. That probably wasn't in my best interest to do that. Oh my goodness. Now I got a mess on my hands. What time was this? 8:18. 13818. Can I get that on the screen? 13818. 818. Did I find it? Here it is. So I'm going to select all the stuff around 818. Okay, there's one of the spikes. What? And there's another one. There's the two spikes. And see, here we got Biden swinging up and then Biden swinging down. And that, I mean, you would see that the other spike I showed did not have Biden swinging back down. So that's more concerning. But this one actually swings down more than he swings up. And this is rounding error. Because we'll look as the lady was explaining at the other site, right here at 8:18, what we got here is this. Oh man, I should have displayed this to a higher level of decimal precision. It actually goes out to the thousandths. Let's go back and fix that. My goodness gracious. If we go to fields and we want this visualization. We click on this visualization and then we're going to do Biden. No, actually we need Biden shares, and then over here if we look, it shows the number of decimal places that we want. Well, we want 3. 0, 1, 2, 3, because that's the highest level of accuracy of the New York Times data. I could actually show you that. Uh-oh. I don't like the sound of that, because it oftentimes means my computer's about to crash. That's the maximum amount of decimal places in the New York Times data, the JSON data. I really don't want to open that in GitHub right now. I suppose we can, but you can just trust me on this, probably. Well, why would anybody trust anyone right now? Man, I used to work at a place where nobody trusted anybody. Also, let's see, desktop. Let's see, election. Let's see. I probably shouldn't have told you that. And let's go to Git and Pennsylvania JSON. VI Pennsylvania. Actually, I had that open, and why am I pulling this up in GitHub? I'm in VI. I had this open in Firefox. JSON. All right. So we got this open in which one are we worried about? Let's just pick one of these total votes of 111, 1111586, because the votes are easy to find. If we look here, here's the vote shares element. And Biden, both of the precision of these are to the thousandth. Got that? So there's no point in going past 3 decimal points. So now we're going to do the same thing for Trump share, or Trump, what is it? It's Trump shares somewhere. Yeah. We're going to change that to 0.3. I do not like hearing that sound because I don't like my computer crashing on me, but I think I'm starting to get used to it. I've got plenty of RAM, and I could put more in, but I'm missing a heat sink. Don't ask. I've got a 2-socket motherboard, but I'm only using one of the CPUs. I've got another CPU that's just sitting around. I know I should be ashamed of myself, but I don't really need a bunch of really high multi-core processing. What I really need is maybe faster single-threaded processing. We don't want to get into that. I guess I shouldn't be embarrassed of myself. So right here, This was 8/18 right here, and we can see that what's going on here is that this factor is going down, okay? And it's going down for both candidates. I don't know, I guess, what, maybe the Libertarian candidate? I think it's Libertarian. There's a Jorgensen? I hope I said that right. Please forgive me if I'm totally messed up. Yeah, Jorgensen, I guess, is what it is. George Mockert's cool too, by the way. If you saw him up there, he's a musician. He writes some cool music. Latino, I think. Please don't get me for being politically incorrect. These 8/18, they're swinging down, and so when you multiply 8/18. When you multiply these by the total votes that comes in, what happens is you get like a negative amount of votes. And all that could have maybe happened is Joe Jorgensen, or if I pronounce his name correctly, could be taking some of the shares. And unfortunately, New York Times is not showing us that. And we really need that. Or I could use that, because if I take these two numbers here, calc, come on, calculator. I can't do this kind of stuff in my head. If I take these two numbers here, 0.299, and add it to 0.6. The video crashed again, and so I'm trying to redo the voiceover. I lost voiceover also. And basically what I was trying to tell you is that those two numbers, 0.229 and 0.677, did not add up to 1. And I suppose that had something to do with the Libertarian candidate maybe taking some of the votes. But it would have been nice if they would have given us the values for the Libertarian candidate, so that we could see that all three components add up to 1. Not sure. Let's see. So now I have no idea what I'm doing there. What was I doing at that point? This is horrible. I can't believe the audio got trashed on this. This is a complete mess. Okay, now I'm going to look at the values in Firefox, exploring the rounding errors here. And right there, let's see. I think I'm looking for a specific vote number at this point, yeah. Although right here I'm making an error because I'm having to start over. Apparently I had some garbage data in there. I can't believe this got busted so bad. Nobody's gonna want to watch this. I really need to go back and fix this, but I've already messed. Okay, right, I found one of the vote numbers, total votes, and right here, see, I'm showing you, I'm proving to you that the values that I got for those components came directly from the data source, and that's the reason why I used VI to pull it up versus Firefox. I wanted you to see firsthand in the file that those were the actual values that were used. Now there's a lot of silence. I'm not saying anything. It doesn't seem like I'm doing anything, so I'm confused again. Probably rambling off on some sort of a political rant. I possibly complaining about how I felt the New York Times data should have better been represented, but as KL Divergence was explaining, that wasn't necessarily their purpose. I think their data was convoluted, personally, having to drill through all this stuff here, through races, party control. A lot of this stuff has nothing to do with what I wanted to see. I would have liked to have seen the individual votes for each candidate. you know, the votes at that particular sample time for Biden, the votes for at that sample time for Trump, and then for the Libertarian candidate. It would have been a lot easier to make sense of it, and we wouldn't have had any rounding error. So now, I think, yeah, I'm just trying to show you that there's tons of unnecessary stuff there. And again, that was probably because this was designed for their website, and they just figured since they had it, they're just going to let people look at it directly, and they didn't intend for people to do any, meaningful analysis of it. And I'm not really doing any meaningful analysis at this point, but I thought it would be fun to show you how to go and use the PowerDirector tool to look through the data. Not sure what I'm doing here. Let's see. I'm looking at it's only accurate to the thousandth place in both instances. And that one last instance, as you saw, that was to the hundredths, but I think that was just Firefox rounding it. Maybe it wasn't anything to be worried about. But in general, the New York Times data is accurate to the thousandth. So now we have more blank pauses. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Waiting. I don't know why I'm collapsing those. All right, now I'm getting off of Firefox. That's probably a good thing. So here, where am I going now? I guess I'm looking back at that spike there. That was concerning me. See, a lot of these swings here, up and down, they kind of balance each other out. But that particular one all the way on the left, it doesn't balance itself out. That very first spike on the upper left-hand corner. Now I'm looking at the very last spike. That's a concerning spike also. And that one actually swings for both candidates. And here I'm changing the filtering on or after. You saw me do this before, so it's being repetitive. So I guess that's one way I could improve this in the future when I get to go back to these, because I really do need to clean this up. It's a complete train wreck. But I guess maybe a train wreck is better than no train at all. I don't know. Good question. Now we're zooming in on the spike, and there's another little spike over there that I'm talking about apparently, but I think they're both balanced. Both candidates are balanced on that spike. But this last one, it's a very huge, but it's apparently rounding error as far as I could tell. So what I'm trying to do probably is narrow in on that baby spike just to make sure that it is actually legitimate. And one of the things I forgot to mention, I think, is that these times here, they're not in Zulu time, which they probably should be, but I didn't want to do the conversions in my head from Zulu time to back to Pennsylvania time, so I just left it at what Microsoft picked. And they happen to apparently they picked Arkansas or Central time, because that's where I am. That's what I have my system set to. So to go back to Pennsylvania time, I think you would just add 1 hour to whatever these are. And, of course, now I'm selecting the individual elements to zoom in, because after I found the time that I was looking for, I was able to find more specifically that spike. And as you can see in that spike, both the candidates went sharply up. So, you can't really you can't really say that necessarily impacted any particular person. This isn't a big concern. The one that I mentioned, a few minutes ago is a potential concern because it impacted largely one candidate. Why did so many votes come in for that one candidate that beginning or that early in the election, particularly when rounding error is less significant. As you get into larger total vote counts, you have to have a higher level of accuracy in your voter shares scaling factor. And so, as I said, I'm just concerned because we didn't have as many votes at the beginning, and so that lower level of accuracy of only to the thousandths was less likely to be a problem in the beginning. So I don't know where that came from, and I don't know if it had any influence on things. As I've alluded many times, psychology can possibly come into play in elections, and if that spike back there happened to happen this at the right time, then it could possibly cause people to make inappropriate decisions and maybe even engage in herd mentality and just go with what everyone else is doing. And that's because people want to win. I mean, that's just our instinct. We want to be on the winning side. So when we see somebody that's winning, we're going to vote for the guy that's winning, right? That's what some of us do. Oh, look at this. This is bothersome. I zoomed in on another spike, and this was on the 24th, apparently, I guess, Central Time. And as you can see, it's way heavily for Biden and very little for Trump, but Biden swings back down at the same amount. So, you can't really draw any major conclusions except that, except that period, which I don't know how long it was. Was it 30 minutes or an hour? I'm just guessing. If people happen to see that during primetime viewing on, when they're at home, when they just got off work, they saw that and they saw that momentum, it could have possibly influenced them that, yeah, Biden's going to win this. Could have possibly caused the Trump voters to become, I don't know, demoralized. I mean, it could have also fired him up. We're just speculating, but I don't know how the psychology plays on this, and I'm not a psychologist, but, I'm just saying if you alter the perception of who's going to win, then it could potentially change the actual way people vote. So that's the only thing I could say that positive spike might have had or might have caused. Now and so mathematically speaking, it seems to level out and make no difference whatsoever because the two just are about the same. And I'm here comparing the different votes there. And it's kind of disappointing that I'm having to go back and comment what I was doing originally, but it crashed on me. I lost my audio segment, and it's either this or not put it out at all, which I guess maybe I shouldn't have put it out, but it's a free country and I can kind of say what I want to as long as I'm not lying. And my intent is not to lie. My intent is trying to be reasonably objective here and within the context of presenting my political bias and views. I mean, I don't want to persuade anyone to make incorrect decisions by any means. I want them to make decisions that's good for them, their families, and for the country as a whole. Wish they would move on from here. I'd like to kind of. This would have been more useful if I'd already just blogged about this on my website and then maybe commented on that. It would have gone a lot faster. Use PowerPoint slides or something like that. Not sure where this is going now. I'm expecting another crash here soon. There was another crash after this, but on the last part I actually did have some audio. Just sitting there. What on earth? And I can't minimize this screen because if I do that, then Cyberlink might go bonkers. Looks like it's not. I'm thinking about something, but I have no idea what I'm thinking about. I guess the point is, this is really, I'm having to fill up the space here because I have no idea what I was doing at this point in time, which is a kind of a, I guess this is kind of an illustration that if you're going to get into any kind of video editing, you need to have lots of hard drive space and lots of RAM. As I said, I had plenty of RAM, and I could get more RAM, but I have to put that other processor in. I know, I've totally lost you at this point. Nobody in their right mind is going to listen to this point of the conversation. They probably tuned me out at like minute 5. But I don't know, maybe my kids will listen to this when they're bored. I don't know if we really want to go there, do we? But yeah, so you can go and download Power BI for free, and you can go in here and do all this exploration on your own. And that's what's so exciting about all this. And I'm still going back and apparently belaboring this same old point. So this could have been made a lot shorter. Man. And I could have saved myself some time on editing. Okay, now I'm going to the filtering again. Apparently I'm wanting to go look at a different section. What am I trying to do there? I lost the mouse pointer, disappeared again. Went over into the lower left. What on earth was I thinking about? On or after? I think I'm just trying to get a closer view for some reason, apparently. I have no idea. Timestamp. Oh, okay, I was trying to do it on the report level, but now I'm trying to do it on the page level. Yeah, that was a big problem with me early on, is the report level versus page level. You know, see, and on the right hand, you see when I narrow those results down, I only see a very small amount of data points on the right in the table view. So it makes it a lot easier to see what's going on. And compare those rounding errors there. Like, as you can see for Biden shares over there on the right in the table, and we'll go, oh my goodness, it went from like 0.500 to 0.502, bumped up, and that's where that spike came from, when it jumped from 0.500 to 0.502. That's how that happened. And I'm ranting again, but it's very frustrating that New York Times reported is requiring us to multiply it by this shares scaling factor. I really would have rather had the original votes for the candidates. It caused a huge mess. Now I'm dragging in Biden shares and Trump shares. Okay. Here's what I'm doing is I'm going and looking at the actual New York Times data versus what the computed data. What they wanted us to do was multiply these shares by the total number of votes to compute the actual votes. But, you know, a pretty good indication of who was winning is just to look at the shares variables. Because that is the original New York Times data. And here you can see Trump was apparently in the lead for a while, and according to this data, at some point he fell out of lead. I have no idea why or what was going on, but I do not see this claimed lead in the last few days that some people have been reporting according to this data. Does that mean the data's wrong? I don't know. But you can see on the right over there, there's that spike again where Biden shares went up quite a bit. Well, it looks like a little dot. There it is. It was in focus. And then Trump shares went down quite a bit. And that is, again, concerning. even though I said that it looked like everything was okay on the last screen when I was comparing the total votes, that's still something that maybe needs to be looked at by people. It seems statistically significant to me. Enough so that there could have been there has to be some sort of underlying factor as to why that changed so quick. And now here's the crash. So I'm good. So I had another crash. It's nothing surprising. So if I can remember where I left off, the pattern here was that Biden was ahead, or Trump was ahead for a brief period of time, and then at that point, unfortunately, he took a slump and then went down for most of the rest of the election, according to this Trump shares and Biden shares percentages. But as I said, oftentimes these values don't even add up to 1, and that's probably because some of those shares were due to the Libertarian candidate. But the problem is that they're not giving us that information, which I really could potentially use it. And it's maybe I lost the audio content on the one of the video recording tracks, and I guess that's fortunate because I was ranting my political views. So I'm going to have to go re-record that audio content based upon what I see in the video, assuming that I remember what I was doing at that point in time. So this is going to be a really big patchwork. But anyways, I'm resuming here, and here we are towards the latter stages, and there is one remaining strange pattern here. That's the only thing that I think only other thing that I think I would talk about at this point. I mean, there are other visualizations you could do, but we don't have a whole lot of data here. We could, if we went to the GitHub repository instead of just grabbing the Pennsylvania data, we could possibly look at trends over, over the states, how the states are voting for Trump versus Biden. But I didn't actually go there at this time. I could possibly maybe do that in the future and maybe stay more objective. But I guess I kind of shot myself in the foot by taking the Pennsylvania data on, because it's kind of a trap in that it encourages you to go try and find something wrong, and in reality there may not be anything wrong. You may just be looking for something that isn't there, and when you're looking for something that isn't there, it's real easy to shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, you can make wild accusations. What on earth? As I said, okay, this is really annoying me. As I said, I highly question the integrity of mail-in ballots. I don't trust that at all. And I don't know why they were even allowed. There are people that probably needed mail-in ballots, but the number of mail-in ballots was excessive this election. And so if we go here, we're trying to narrow this down to, what, 612? Is it 612? Anywhere from 330 on 1224. Let's go click on the rest of these. Oh, good grief. That didn't help me one bit. That didn't help at all. 330. Whoops. You didn't need to see that either. Not that it was bad, but it just wanted to play that game with my daughter. Going through a lot of difficult things right now, and I don't really understand some of the decisions that people are making. Talk about transparency and honesty. I really feel that a lot of people I know haven't been honest with me. So naturally, I would have a tendency to distrust a lot of things right now. We got this jump for Biden shares of 2 thousandths, and then we got a drop of 2 thousandths for Trump, and that's what's going to cause that big swing, that voter swing, and that's what caused some of those voter swings. I don't know what that spike corresponds to, where it came from. It was a little odd, but I don't know it's anything to get too excited about. I don't remember if we looked at that, at what that actually caused. That was at 612. It happened over the course of, happened from 5:45 to 6:21, whatever time zone this is. 5:45 to 6:21. We can go look at what UTC time that is. If we can find out exactly which 612. We can use the total votes for kind of the identifier. Okay, so we go up to GitHub, or we go pull up Git. Go to 1, we got 695, 65. Oh my goodness, that didn't help. 695. Oh my goodness. 6956504. When did this happen? It happened on November 25th at 0012 Zulu time. What on earth is that in Pennsylvania time? Coordinated Universal Time is ahead of Pennsylvania time by 5 hours. I really wished I could put in a date. And I'm not really seeing how I can do that. So we've got 12. Let's say 30 a.m. So at 12 a.m. it would be, or I mean at 0012 it would be at 7:15 p.m. on November 24th, I suppose. So at 7:15 p.m. on November 24th, we get this huge spike in Pennsylvania. You get this huge spike for Biden. Is that what that says? I don't know. It's up to you to figure that out, I suppose. This says 612. Pennsylvania is an hour ahead of us. So this must be Arkansas time. or Central Time. So that spike right there, and that led to Biden having 30,000 votes, apparently, all of a sudden. If we look here, it was later corrected with a drop, but I'm not seeing that drop. Why didn't I see that drop? I apologize for going political on everyone earlier. I don't know if you're going to hear that in the final rendering of the product. See, I don't see that drop. Why am I not seeing? Oh, okay, yeah, this is the drop of votes, but it didn't drop in the, that's very interesting. We get a drop in votes, but we don't get a drop in the shares. Well, we do, but it doesn't drop down. How in the world does this drop in votes happen? Because the total votes dropped? See, this is why this data is somewhat hokey. This makes no sense whatsoever. How you could have this should never happen. There is something wrong. I don't know if you heard me say this, but I have respect for the New York Times, and they likely have very high quality data. But as I was saying before my computer crashed, garbage in, garbage out. If people are filling New York Times with a large amount of potentially fraudulent mail-in ballots, or conducting themselves in an inappropriate manner, and New York Times doesn't have visibility into that, then New York Times is going to have garbage data. It's not New York Times' fault, but it does call the data into suspect, and it would be easier to actually look at this in Firefox, but we're going to look at the raw data just to look cool, I guess. I don't know. This is useful. It's useful to pull up VI sometimes when you're in a pinch, but it's really, if you're really 6955700 now, but sometimes it can get really ugly. And if we look, the very next sample is 692. The votes dropped from the previous to the next sample, and we can confirm that in Firefox. Which sample is this anyway? We don't remember which row this was. Which row was this? I don't know. It's way towards the end. It's much easier to back up from the end than it is to search for something in the middle, because I can't do a control. One of the things in VI is I can do a front slash and search for what I'm looking for. This is not the right data. That was headlines that I don't really want. If I had an artificial intelligence algorithm hooked up to the headlines to like some sort of a stock trading platform, then that might be useful, but I'm not quite industrious enough to write that. And do I really, even if I was that smart, would I really want artificial intelligence determining my financial future? Can I count on my training of the neural network algorithm to be that accurate? I'm sure Google thinks they can. What, are they trying to drive cars with neural networks? I think that's a much more realistic proposition than trying to predict the stock market with AI. 699 700. Yeah, okay. Yeah, here's where it is. 700. this. Well, guess what? My computer crashed again. Isn't that lovely and wonderful? Yeah, that's Cubase. I'd rather be doing that. But let's see. We need Firefox. I could make a comment, but I better not. Firefoxy? No. I'm sorry, I made it anyway. Whatever. Let's see. 30692170. She probably wouldn't listen to me, but maybe I should say Jennifer is Firefoxy. Chances of Jennifer hearing that are like next to none. 6921700. I actually wrote a song for her. She blew it off. 6921700. That's yeah. So what we're trying to do is we're going to see that this drop, it's a vote drop. We go from 6,955,700 votes to 6,921,700 votes. This should not happen in this data set. This is weird. This is, and you saw this over here in VI. We went from, well, I'm not seeing it anymore. I don't see what I'm looking for. I thought I showed that to you. Let's try that again. 6955700. 6955700. Why is it doing that? You VI masters are probably laughing at me right now. 6955700, and it drops down to 6921700 right here. That shouldn't happen. And that's part of the reason why I feel this data is a little hokey. Not only that, but these values over here, I think we could verify it with DAX, but I don't know if I want to go there right now. These numbers don't even add up to 1. And I think, as I said, that's because the Libertarian candidate was taking some of the shares, but they don't report the Libertarian candidate in there. If you look at expand vote shares, all you see is Biden and Trump. It would really improve my confidence in the data if I could see the vote shares that the Libertarian candidate and other took. So with these swings going on, the swings of positive and negative vote counts due to error, I'm really kind of worried a little bit about what we got here. And also we have the issue of we don't know that New York Times actually got fed correct data in the first place. Someone could have fed them a bunch of garbage, in which case they're not going to really be able to do anything. But you combine these kinds of weird factors here, and this accounted for, it was 30,000 vote shift, but it also was corrected back down here. But that is, I mean, and his vote shares never went down. I think this is potentially suspect. I'm not a data analysis per se. I mean, I may be slotted as one, but I'm not an expert at this by any means. I don't have the background necessary to do this properly. I think to do proper data analysis, you should probably have at least a master's degree in data science along with a bachelor's degree in a STEM field. I know some universities are opening up bachelor's of data science programs, and I was potentially interested in pursuing something like that at one time, but honestly, I don't think you're going to really have the background you need without having going full-blown CS as your bachelor's degree and then going for a master's of science in data science. But anyways, these kind of anomalies have a tendency, and I don't have a master's degree. I've had some be a master's of science in computer science graduate study, but it was pretty hard for me and I didn't make it, and I would like to go again, but I'm meeting admission hoops. Yeah, sorry for that. But with these kind of anomalies, with the questions of the mail-in ballots, and with swings like that, I don't know. There could potentially still be something worth looking for. I'm just not able to find it myself. I don't know if there is enough data here to really locate what is necessary. Oh, my goodness. I wish I could go back to... I need to get... There it is. This is the really weird wackiness that's going on. Trump votes, Biden votes. What on earth is that about? Total votes, don't want that. Values. Trump votes, I must have done that wrong. Biden votes. This spike why is that happening? Oh, I got total votes in there. Trump. This spike, and then there's some wackiness that went around about here, are things to potentially look at. And the fact that some of these vote counts actually literally go down. The total vote counts go down. That's the raw New York Times data that's getting messed up there. If I could go back to filters, November 15th, advanced filtering. I don't see page level filters. Page filters on this page. Timestamp is on or after 11 15 2020. I'm getting sick of this, and I'm sure you're getting sick of me also, because this thing is really running on and on and on. What on earth? I think what I meant to do was current, but there's that spike again. That spike is really concerning. I mean, I know I showed you where... I showed you... I mean, it's enough to psychologically influence voters, potentially. It shows how the votes level back out, but it could potentially persuade people. And I don't remember how long that happened. Was it 30 minutes, an hour? I don't remember, but 30 minutes, an hour at the right time on TV, on network television, is certainly enough to make people think or change their minds. Of course, Biden was already apparently leading anyways by this point, or so we think. But if they really were that far ahead, why would they have a need to do anything funny? So, I don't know. I guess some explanation really needs to be done about this. And this data that's being provided to us is questionable. In order to make better observations, we really need more accurate data. And that's part of the problem of being an outsider. Most people are not going to be able to see the full context of what's going on. If I go back, I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm trying to summarize what's going on here. If I could go back to this visualization, votes, let's look at current again one last time. Current, Biden current. This kind of stuff is kind of wacko. There was a spike. This spike went up quite a bit for Biden. There was a spike early on that was disturbing too. Page level filtering, on or after 11:15. Let's change that to on or before. Looking at the flip side. Well, I can't see anything there. Let's say on or before 9. No. 5. Oh, goodness gracious. That doesn't look any too weird. I don't remember, but early on in this video, I think we observed one little bump where, yeah, it's probably this one right here. What happened there? I don't know. You can go download the Power BI report that I have made or put on GitHub if you want. You can go in here and do all this stuff yourself. Hopefully you'll be a little bit more clear. You might have a little bit more caffeine in your system. I don't have any caffeine in my system right now. And hopefully you won't get a headache. Hopefully you'll be able to make some meaningful observations. Maybe you'll even scan the data with R or whatever if you're that advanced, though I'm not sure why you would be watching this. But I'm sure there's plenty of people scouring that data with R right now, or Python and Power BI or whatever tool they choose to use. I think Tableau is another option. But this tool is free. You can download it from Microsoft. It has quite a bit of power, easy to do visualizations. The setup for the JSON data in video 2 was kind of a pain, but you didn't have to write any code, so it's an option for you. I'm sorry this took so long. I apologize for getting political. I guess I'm just cranky. I don't know if you're gonna hear my comment about Grumpy Bear, but that's my favorite Care Bear, and I'm not gonna display a unless I can find my Grumpy Bear that my kids probably have. I'm not going to display Grumpy Bear on any of these videos because I don't want to get sued from the people that do own Care Bears right now. But if I could find my original Care Bear, I could put it on here because I just take a picture of it and put it on here and probably would get away with the copyright business. But yeah, I'm Grumpy Bear right now. I'm disappointed with the way the election's going. I'm hoping for some conservative beliefs to be brought forth. I know I'm a bit of a grumpy person, but I certainly hope that we can move forward as a nation and try to respect each other and be polite and kind. And hopefully there'll be a little bit of forgiveness in the mix. So, sorry to take so long. I hope you have a wonderful day at work or wherever you are. And don't forget to check out the stuff from Chris Dutton, Helen Wall, and Chris Dutton, Helen Wall, and Jeannie Von Courtier, I think it is, and Kale Divergence. She explains the rounding error, and she's much more concise than I am. I'm rambling, so have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.